Hi, this is Johnny Shannon, remote sensing consultant at Geospatial Insight. So last time we looked at how we can easily create an NDVI model in Spatial Modeler in ERDAS Imagine. Here's one I made earlier, and here's a Landsat 8 image over the southern United Kingdom. Here's London here and Heathrow here. Let's just check to see whether this model works. You can click on Preview and make it like that. There we go. And yeah, it looks like all the vegetation is coming out bright here. Actually, we can compare a little bit more easily. If we add a port to the preview and then move the NDVI up to input 2 and have a look straight from the input dataset into the preview as well, then now we can use our swipe tool within the window. And yeah, that makes it a little bit easier to compare and make sure that our output is exactly what we wanted. Good. So today I want to concentrate on how we can make this model more portable and easier for those who aren't comfortable with using the spatial modeler, easy to use. And the way that we can do that is by using port inputs. And port inputs essentially ask the user for information when they come to run the model, variables, if you will. And so our first port input will hook up to our raster input here, and this will ask the user what dataset they want to use. Now we can double click on the port input, and I'll drag the dialog across so you can see it. And we can now name this something sensible. We'll call it raster input. And in the description, we can give a little bit more information. And so we'll say raster input must have near infrared and visible red bands. There we go. That just gives the operator a little bit more information is what's useful. Now, the other things we want to look at here are the output file name. And so we want to create a similar port input for the output file name. And, bring that up, and there we go. Output NDVI dataset, and input enter for output file. And then two other things we might want the operator to change are the band numbers for the near infrared band and the infrared, the visible red band. Here it's band 5 and band 4, but with other datasets it might well be something different. So let's bring another couple of new port input operators for that. And we'll call that infrared band. Finally, the same again for our visible red band. Okay, now we've done a bit of work in this model. It'd be a shame to lose it. Let's save that as a model. Let's just save that as, and we'll call that SOC 3. Good. Okay, so now when we come to preview the model, we can see we get a dialog box which has already got our raster input dataset there. We've got the output dataset and we've got the infrared bands. Now that's so good, but maybe we don't want to have our file name as default as an input, and maybe it'd be better if we had the raster input at the top, the output at the bottom, and the two band selections in between. Well, we can do that. If we click on the background of the spatial model, and then if we go to the properties box, then we can see our port inputs listed down here. And here we can highlight that and get rid of our input dataset. And if we right click, then we can rearrange the ports within our spatial model. And so now if we click on preview, we get the raster input at the top, output at the bottom, and our infrared bands there. That's great. Okay, Next, if we want to make this a little bit more sophisticated, we can look at our operator info of the model again, and we can fill in a little bit of information here. So in the namespace, I usually put my name, and in the name there we can have NDVI and NDVI. Displayed category, we can say that's indices, and I can spell that correctly as well. And then in the icon, we've got a default icon. You can spend many a happy hour creating your own icons, which is in fact what I've done here. And I can go to the directory where we have it. And there we go. I've done a little fields icon there. And then in the description, we can put a little bit of information about what this model does, and say this creates an NDVI dataset from a raster input. And then we can save that. And now we have a model that's able to run entirely from a dialog box, and it'll run this spatial model behind the scenes. What we can do now is we can add this to the ribbon interface. And the easy way to do that is from the spatial model tab, we click to add to my models. And it pops up with a little dialog box, which allows you to check that the information here is what you're expecting. Yeah, that all looks good. And we click OK. And it's already there, so you say yes. And then we click on my models. And there it is. Here's my NDVI spatial model ready to run as a dialog box from the ribbon. Let's just click on that and see what it comes up with. And yep, here's the dialog box. If we have a look, it's the raster input. We've got our infrared band and visible red band already pre-populated. That can change. If we hover over the raster input, it gives us the little help description that we had. And similarly with the output NDVI. There we are. And as with any other dialog box, we can view or preview from here. Let's just bring in the data set so we can do that. And my output data set, I'll call that test. And now we can preview it. And indeed, that runs as expected. There we go. So why would we want to do this? Well, it does make it easy for a non-specialist user to run spatial models. This is a fairly simple spatial model, and as you've just seen in the last video, we've already got an NDVI dialog box, so maybe not super useful, but we can do this with any spatial model you like. And the other major advantage is that although creating spatial models requires ERDAS Imagine Professional, actually running them only requires essentials. So you can have your expert user creating these spatial models, and then you can have general users making use of the spatial models that have been created for them. Okay, hope that's useful, and I'll be back with another tip in a short time.